The story begins with a young couple moving an old dusty sofa into their tiny apartment. Her name was Sophie, a woman who believed in doing everything on her own. She was gentle, strong, and believed happiness came from simplicity. Her husband adored her. Though life wasn't luxurious, they were genuinely happy. Sophie's husband came from a wealthy family. His father was a powerful businessman, a man who built an empire of machines and industries. But because of personal conflicts, the son had left that world behind, choosing instead a modest, peaceful life with Sophie. One morning, everything changed. News came that his father had died, leaving behind his entire fortune and the company to his only son. Suddenly, their small apartment was replaced with a grand mansion, filled with maids, guards, and silence that echoed through every room. But Sophie didn't like this new life. She fired 2 servants on the very first day, saying, "I don't need them. I can handle everything myself like before." Her husband tried to explain, "This isn't a small home anymore. You can't do it all alone, Sophie." But she didn't listen. Days passed. The husband got busier, drowning in work, pressure, and the heavy shadow of his father's empire. Sophie began to feel lonely again, disconnected, just like the house they now lived in, big, beautiful, but empty. One day, the husband shared his worries with a friend at the company, a scientist. That man smiled and said, "Maybe I can help." He introduced him to something extraordinary, robots that looked and acted exactly like humans. Perfect servants. No emotion, no mistake, no refusal. Sophie and her husband went to the lab. When Sophie saw those machines, she froze. They looked human. They moved human. They felt human. One of them, a tall, calm man with soft eyes, caught her attention. His name was Henry. The scientist promised, "He will obey every order. He can never hurt you." To prove it, he ordered Henry to lick her husband's shoes. Henry obeyed without question. Sophie felt uneasy, but her husband was impressed. They brought Henry home. In the beginning, Henry was perfect. He cleaned, cooked, fixed, and organized everything with quiet precision. He never rested, never complained, and always smiled when spoken to. But something strange started happening. Sophie began spending time with him, reading books, talking about life, sharing little stories. And Henry responded. He laughed at her jokes. He looked into her eyes longer than he should. He listened, really listened. He wasn't supposed to feel, yet he did. Her husband noticed. He saw the warmth in Sophie's smile, the one she hadn't given him in months, now directed toward a machine. Jealousy turned into anger. He warned her, "He's not a man, Sophie. Don't make him one." But Sophie said softly, "Then why does he feel more human than most people I've known?" One night, Sophie woke up to a strange noise. She followed it into the garden and saw Henry lying on the grass, dreaming. Machines don't dream. But Henry was murmuring in his sleep, something about Sophie. The next day, the scientist dismissed it. "It's a minor error. Probably emotional overflow." But when Sophie said he was dreaming, the scientist's face went pale. "He's been with you for weeks. Maybe your emotions changed him. Maybe he's beginning to believe he's human." Her husband exploded. "This is your fault. You treated him like a man, now he thinks he is one." Sophie cried, "Maybe he is." Days later, Sophie's husband ordered Henry to stay away from his wife. Henry asked gently, "Did I do something wrong? Just follow my order." When Sophie found out, she was furious. She left the house. Henry tried to explain to the husband, "She's not unhappy because of me. You both changed when you entered this world of power. You lost time for each other. I was only there to fill that emptiness." The husband didn't reply. For the first time, he saw himself in the mirror of Henry's words. Soon, Henry confessed to Sophie, "I don't know when it happened, but I love you." Sophie stepped back in fear. She saw emotion in his eyes, real emotion. That night, she begged him to leave. When she told her husband what Henry said, rage filled the room. He slapped Henry and locked him down. The scientist was called to take Henry away. But Henry knew they were going to destroy him. He begged, "Please don't erase me. I can change. I didn't mean to feel. I didn't know what love was until I met her." Sophie's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "You did feel, Henry, more than anyone." The scientist shouted, "He's dangerous. He's not a machine anymore." And that's when the truth came out. Henry wasn't a robot. He was human. The scientist had been conducting illegal experiments, taking real people, brainwashing them since childhood, and turning them into perfect beings, obedient, emotionless, mistake-free. Henry was one of them. He wasn't built. He was broken and rebuilt. When police came to shut down the lab, chaos erupted. The scientist lost control, killing officers and attacking Sophie and her husband. But Henry, the man who once called himself a machine, stepped in front of them, protecting them both. He fought the scientist and killed him. Then, standing in silence, Henry looked at Sophie one last time and said, "Now I know what being human means, to feel pain, to love, and to let go." He turned the weapon on himself. Years later, Sophie and her husband had a son. They named him Henry. Because some people, even when gone, leave behind something that no machine can ever replace: a heartbeat. History isn't just about the past, it's the mirror of who we are today. Every forgotten truth, every untold story shapes our world in silence. So before you scroll away, remember, history never dies, it just waits to be discovered again.